But let me just remind you, for those who weren't here because they're on Facebook, or because you weren't here, I don't remember who was here, but a couple of weeks ago I talked about, or was that even just last week, things that the church does wrong in witnessing and teaching witnessing. And instead of sitting here listing everything, let me just say that if we aren't seeing results, then we're doing it wrong. And I will give you one example, which I mentioned before, and that is passing out tracts. You can pass out 10,000 tracts, and people will say, but if one soul is saved, it's worth it.
How many trees?
And I'm going to say, first off, I don't care about killing trees. But second, I'm going to say that there are a lot of people that get very upset when you're out there handing out tracts. I do own a few somewhere. I keep them around somewhere. I'm not sure where they are right now. But when I hand them out, I don't go out and buy 10,000 copies of the same one. I buy five each of several different types. And then I use them very carefully. Custom tailored to each person that I'm talking to. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you pass out, there were some really cool tracks in the 70s. They were cartoonish, and they were kind of long, and they were really cool. Handing out 10,000 really cool tracks might mean you get 10 people think they're really cool, and the rest are just going to throw them away and get irritated you for trying to push your religion on them. And that brings me to, well, it almost brings me to today's lesson. I'm going to be doing more lessons on witnessing over the next few months. I don't know how many. I don't know how long. But I'm going to give you today my secret weapon. I call it my 100% foolproof, guaranteed, never fail approach to getting somebody to ask me to tell them about God. Kind of a unique idea, isn't it? Instead of using a shotgun approach and saying everyone's the same, pass out the same tract to everyone in the world, I talk to people one-on-one. And it sort of goes like this. Now you can adapt this to anybody's situation. It doesn't even have to be work related, but we're going to pretend today that I am just showing up at the office on a Monday morning. And of course, being a good Christian, I paid attention on Sunday to the sermon. That's crucial. Not essential, but it is important. Here's the point, though. So when I show up at work on Monday morning, as I walk up to the door, I got a friend named Jim, who's standing outside doing his nasty thing, because this is America, no longer the land of the free. You know what I mean? And I always worry about them when they outlaw smoking in the bars. What are they going to do? Outlaw fat men at buffets? You know? Hello? I liked America in the old days. But anyway, so Jim's outside smoking because he ain't allowed to go inside. And I walk up to Jim and I say, "Hey Jim, how was your weekend?" There you go. That's my secret weapon. Think you can remember that? Is this difficult? Got it so far? You're with me. Hot diggity, you guys are smart. So Jim is going to respond, and let's assume Jim is not a Christian. Or at least he's one of those Christians that nobody knows he's a Christian, maybe. And Jim says, oh, it was a miserable, horrible weekend. Why, it rained all day Saturday. I had a really good tea time, and I couldn't get out to go golfing. And I had to stay home. And the old lady, she had, you know, it was the worst ball and chain weekend I've ever had in my life. She had a honey-do list for me this long. And then the kids got all angry and upset because they were bored, fighting and bickering, and they're stuck inside. I always wonder why you can't take the kids outside. Do they melt? Anyway. So Jim says, and then I had promised everyone that when I got back from golfing, I would barbecue for them. Now, I didn't get to go golfing, but they still wanted me to barbecue. So I'm standing out in the rain. I got brats, I got burgers, and I'm just cooking away, and I certainly ain't melting out there. And by the time I got all the the hamburgers and the brats inside, and I was shutting down the grill, I walked inside, and right then I saw the dog pull the last of the plate off onto the floor. I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And then, to top it off, that afternoon, my college team was favored by 22 points, and they lost by 15. Can you believe it? And then Sunday was even worse. Oh my goodness, the rain continued. I had another tea time. It was gone, shot. Kids are still bickering and angry and fighting, and my pro team lost, and they were favored. It was a home game against a divisional rival, and it was the most miserable weekend of my life. Ever met somebody that had a weekend like that? Oh, wait, have you ever had a weekend like... Yeah, okay. So then what does Jim say? See, so far your part was to say what? How was your weekend? Mm-hmm. Jim did all the rest of the work. And then when Jim's done ranting and raving, griping and moaning, groaning, and just dumping on you, what's he going to say?
How was your weekend?
Hey, Bob. So how was your weekend? Now here's where you come in. And here's where you better be ready. Okay? Now, Bob, of course, is a motorcycle rider. Forget that, golf. And Bob says, well, you know, Saturday I was going to go on a nice long ride with some friends, but that rain was pretty heavy, so we decided to cancel it. I mean, I don't mind riding in rain, but it's just not as enjoyable as a nice day, you know what I mean? And, yeah, my kids got a little irritating.
But they don't know, so come outside.
And, you know, and they all wanted something special for lunch, so the wife says, honey, why don't you put some hot dogs on the grill? Say what? Why would I want to do that? Well, because the kids and I would like it. You know, my wife, she had a honey-do list all day long. I think it went 3 weeks long. But anyway, that was inserted there, and you know, I love that woman so much, I'd do anything for her. So I went out and I stood in the rain and I grilled. And wouldn't you know it, when we got everything inside, as I was walking inside with the last plate, I slipped and fell in the mud. Flat on my face. Good thing that plate was face down, because that's where my face landed, was right on the plate. At least my face didn't get all muddy. And, you know, Jim, you and I, you know we cheer for the same college team. And, oh my goodness, I couldn't bear to watch. I had to shut it off partway through the game. I went back to that honey-do list. It was much better in the game. And then Sunday came. And you know, it was still raining, but I didn't have any motorcycle plans because you know what? On Sunday, I like to go to church. We have some of the greatest friends in the world at our church. And it is such a joy to see them that I enjoy being there. And then the pastor started preaching his sermon, and he got to this, he's a pretty cool guy. Our pastor. You know, he wears nice suits. He's not talking about me. He looking good up there. Not talking about me. But he has these great sermons. And this week he was talking about Peter walking on the water. And man, that was way cool. And then he said something that just blew my mind. He said, and Peter started to sink. And I got to thinking, you know, if somebody's walking on the water, they aren't sinking, right? But if somebody ain't walking on the water, they're sinking, right? How do you start to sink? I mean, walking on the water. You know what I'm saying? Jim, I don't know what to make of that. I gotta ask him next time I see him what he meant by started to sink. End of story. So what have you just done? You told him about serving your family with joy. You told him about going to church and the relationships you have that are good. You told him about learning about the Bible. You gave him the right to challenge. Was starting to sink. Now this can work no matter what your job is. It can work with just a friend. Hey Jim, how was your night last night? Unemployed? Retired? You meet Jim at McDonald's for coffee in the morning? Hey Jim, so what'd you do last weekend? Might be Thursday, but if you're retired, who cares? You hear what I'm saying? What are you doing? You're just talking to people. Are you preaching at them? No. No. Because let me tell you, as I said last time, if you go around and you say, you're a sinner going to hell, you aren't going to get many people interested. But if you're just telling them about your life, you might just interest them. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of people in America today that were raised in Christian homes that aren't interested in church. They've been beat up, and they're going to cause problems if you try and preach at them. But if you're just sharing your life, what are they going to say? Worst thing they're going to say is you're weird.
That might be.
Well, who was it? Wasn't it this guy named Peter that said, we are a peculiar people? Is that the King James?
Yeah.
Peculiar people? That's all right.
Yep. It is.
That's all right. See, we have the wrong idea of what witnessing is. Witnessing isn't saying, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, but to everyone who believeth, they have the right to become the Son of God. And the reward for believing is eternal life, but the reward for, or the punishment for not believing is eternal condemnation. And this is just not going to work.
True, but it's not going to work.
It's true, but it's not going to work. Everyone getting that? Secret weapon. How was your weekend? Better pay attention at church on Sunday. Because they ain't always going to be talking about Peter sinking in the water. And I don't want you to be lying to them. You better find a reason to be joyful around your friends. You better build relationships at your church. Have I been talking about that before?
Only once or twice.
Only once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Okay? And you better be living the life when you're not at church and you're not at work. But when you are at home, especially with your friends. Because sure as shooting, what's going to happen? If Jim is a good friend of mine, he'd probably been to my house. He probably knows how I treat my wife. He probably knows how I treat my children. And he might just call me a lying, hypocritical, two-faced, blankety, 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 blank. So your witness is one-on-one to the people, and it's how you live your life every day.